Yeah, let's get started. Let's get started on the news. Big tech CEOs are testifying at the online child safety hearing. Okay. I will start with that one. And then I'll show you the highlights. I got to go pee real quick, and then we'll do the Texas beheading.
Five of the most powerful tech CEOs prepare to give testimony on Capitol Hill later today. So the leaders of Snap, TikTok, X, Meta, and Discord will testify on whether they're doing enough to protect your children who use their platforms. CBS News senior business and tech correspondent, that's Jolene Kent, sat down for an exclusive interview with the senators who are spearheading this effort. Jolene joins us now from the hearing room where the CEOs will be testifying. Jolene, always good to see you. I know a lot of parents are thinking you guys need to do more. Good morning to you.
Gail, we have talked to some of those parents, and here in the hearing room, journalists are setting up to cover this. And this is where the 5 tech CEOs will sit down and testify under oath before members of the Senate Judiciary Committee. It will be Snap CEO Evan Spiegel's first time testifying, and Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, his 8th time. And right behind him will be a group of family members holding photos of their children who they've lost to child online exploitation on their platforms. They are calling on Congress to really regulate these companies this time.
Selena was wonderful. She just was sunshine.
Tammy Rodriguez's 11-year-old daughter, Selena, died by suicide after what her mom calls an extreme addiction to Snapchat and Instagram that led to sexual exploitation by child predators.
I had no idea what was changing in her, and they knew exactly how to groom her to do what they wanted her to do.
Rodriguez has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Meta and Snap with the support of the Social Media Victims Law Center, alleging the companies designed defective products that caused serious injuries to users.
They need to be held accountable.
11-year-olds and on Snapchat? Dude, there is so much more than this. Like, you guys have seen like the Sephora girlies, right? Like 10-year-olds are now becoming influencers. And they're also, dude, oh, see, someone immediately posted it. Yeah, look, 10-year-olds are taking over Sephora.
People are... I have been saying
control,
since October 7th, if Taylor Swift came out and said from the...
I didn't have them, but I have some really good dupes or alternatives that I could show her if she'd like. This girl looks me dead in the eyes and goes, "Are you effing kidding me?" She looks at me, she's like, "No, I don't want an alternative. I want the bronzy drops."
So she helped herself. She took the plastic off one of the brand new bottles and started spraying it. So I obviously had to damage that out, and I asked her to not do it again. And that, she wasn't happy with the way I said that. She asked me if we had any more of the bronzing drops. I told her we actually haven't had the bronze.
That girl's not 10. They're talking about 10-year-olds at Sephora. 10-year-olds are taking over Sephora, man. These people are like probably 18, 16, 18, 20. I don't know. But like it is out of control, dude. I'm telling you, the internet is like breaking people's brains.
Congress, and they need to be held accountable to the families who've lost a child at their hands.
If you had a chance to talk to these CEOs, what would you say to them?
I would make them look at her picture before, when she was so beautiful and light, and I would make them look at her last video when she took her pills.
Over a span of 10 years, we went from 440,000 complaints of sexual exploitation of children to 32 million a year.
Democratic Senator Dick Durbin.
Like, this is the tip of the iceberg, right? The sexual exploitation of minors is the tip of the iceberg. It's the most damaging but most visible component. And then the rest of the iceberg is also completely fucked. Okay? One thing I always say is this. This is probably not a popular thing to mention, right? As far as like putting any limitations on like what children should see online. But one thing I will say is this. Okay? One thing I will say is this. TikTok has an equivalent in China. It's a Chinese app. Okay? It's owned by owned by China. Everything is owned by China. Let's be real. TikTok's Chinese equivalent has rigorous checks on what children can browse and how long they can browse it. Okay, Douyin and the algorithms they serve and the videos they serve due to the algorithms they have are very different. That's all I'm saying. That's all I am saying. Okay? And I don't know if it's because I'm a boomer and as a 32-year-old man, like I didn't have access to smartphones until I was in college. Like I got my first ever smartphone at the age of 18 when I came to America. So like I didn't have like an endless sea of content that I was mainlining in my more important years of adolescence when my brain was significantly more malleable. And therefore, I personally am terrified of what is happening to the children. But
here are the key differences between our version of TikTok.
Yeah, I'll show you this in a second. Did you at least have a PSP? I did. But that's like completely controlled. You have to remember, like, I also, like, technology had not reached that level yet. So there's the other reason. Like, it wasn't because my parents were like super restrictive. That played a role in it for sure. But also on top of that, technology was restrictive. So you have to remember, I grew up where the internet was starting off for sure, but I was not born into a world where the internet was the thing. If that makes any sense. Like I definitely got like brain broken seeing all the live leak videos, you know what I mean? Like I've seen all of that stuff that circulated at the time, you know, Chechen dudes having their heads crushed by Russian tanks or people playing Russian roulette, like actual real Russian roulette, things of that nature. I've seen all of that, right? But it wasn't every waking moment of my existence. I feel like we often forget that, sure, if you are particularly curious, you might stumble upon Two Girls, One Cup, and that video gets passed around. However, what we fail to consider is the more holistic, like the entire structure, right? Like, it's not just the tip of the iceberg. That's why I was saying, like, it's not just the sexual exploitation of minors, which is obviously the most damaging thing, right? But beyond that, even in its normal, like, even if you were to somehow figure out a way to completely eradicate the sexual exploitation of minors online, magically, right? With a wand, you wouldn't even solve 90% of the problems that, in my opinion, are way more normalized, if that makes sense. These algorithms have the capacity to break the brains of full-grown developed adults. So in my opinion, it's significantly worse for a more malleable brain, the brain of a child.
Urban chairs the Senate Judiciary Committee alongside Republican ranking member Senator Lindsey Graham. They've summoned the CEOs of Meta, X, TikTok, Snap, and Discord to testify together and address what the committee calls their failure to protect children online.
Whose responsibility is it to keep kids safe online? Is it the tech companies? Is it the parents? Is it your responsibility?
Kids these days won't put up with that internet restriction. I agree, but you got to do your very best. My point is that it's good to set up hurdles, because a lot of it is security theater. Almost everything is security theater. When there's a will, there's a way, right? You can have the greatest OPSEC of all time, but ultimately there is going to be there is still going to be susceptible to pen testing. There's still going to be issues. Okay, The goal is to basically create a structure that makes it a little bit more annoying. Okay, I think wasn't it Gaben who correctly said that access to video games is more about, like, it's about like removing barriers. And the inverse of that is also true. For me, I say this regularly, like, I have a Netflix subscription, a Crunchyroll subscription, I have a subscription to everything, right? Piracy as a service problem is absolutely correct. I have all of that because it's more convenient. And the more, like, these websites have a shittier, the more these, like, streaming platforms have a shittier library of content, the more people will move towards piracy, because it's just not as convenient to go to like 8 different places to find the one video that you want to watch, or one movie or the one TV show you want to watch. And so I guess my point is, making it less convenient for children to access like brain breaking content is probably a good thing.
Listen, the parents are fighting a losing battle, and these companies have the singular responsibility to police this.
Among the committee's top priorities, amend Section 230, a regulation that shields tech companies from being sued by users.
You cannot sue a social media company if you believe your family was wronged. There is no federal agency in charge of the largest businesses in the history of the friggin' world, and there's not one statute on the books protecting the consumer.
Ahead of the hearing, Snap says it'll now support the Kids Online Safety Act, a bipartisan bill that mandates platforms to stop recommending harmful content to kids. And Meta says it now prohibits adults from over 19 from messaging teens.
Wild that these conservatives all of a sudden want big government. Yeah, as much as of a look. You know what this is? I mean, this is probably, I don't even know enough about this bill, but immediately it smells like it's like lobbying backed, right? So they want to be the guys that get ahead of the regulation. So one, they can engage in some like regulatory capture, ensure that like it makes it less competitive overall, the monopolizing factors here, like the major platforms. Two, they want to get ahead of it by being like, oh, these are the rules that we are on board with. Here's what we want to do, rather than like have a bunch of people who don't know anything, or have a bunch of people who are, who would maybe even put forward way more draconian rules that could be potentially healthier for the population, do anything of that nature. Now, I will say that part of the reason why Republicans would get on board with things of this is because they get to fight big tech. That looks good. But the other part is that it's a bit like an infrastructure spending bill, right? It's gonna pass. It has to. What do I mean by this? Because it is now a necessity for it to pass. So ultimately, yes, there's back and forth. There's always the political football, the theater that you watch, but there are certain bills that always get passed because it has to, right? And I think this could be in that docket as well. Not entirely certain on it, but like, I think maybe the GOP sees this as an opportunity to block like LGBTQ content, right? And say that is harmful to children, and just block it entirely. It looks good for them to combat like it is good for them to combat big tech, not in a way that actually would remove these monopolies, not in a way that like is necessary, like doing some kind of trust busting, right? But instead by claiming that you're genuinely hurting big tech in some fashion. So yeah, I think it's I don't know. I think that's probably part of the reason why they're doing this.
Who don't follow them on Instagram.
Can you both commit that this hearing is going to actually result in regulation that hits the floor and possibly the president's desk?
Well, make no mistake, this is not an easy assignment. The fact of the matter is, we're going to do something.
There's too much damage, too much harm, too much carnage to let this continue. This hearing, I think, will go down in history as the beginning of the end of an unaccountable social media.
Asked about Tammy's daughter's death, Meta and Snap both tell us that they are working to do more and already have dozens of safety tools available for teens on their platforms. But really, the big question is if anything concrete will result from this hearing today. At least 5 pieces of legislation from the Judiciary Committee are sitting and waiting to hit the Senate floor. Gail.
Well, you raise a very good point. Will there be any?
Yeah. Zuckerberg apologized to the families during the Senate hearing.
About this, but it is a very busy day on Capitol Hill. Going to go back to the hearing where Josh Hawley, Republican of Missouri, is questioning Mark Zuckerberg.
In the last 7 days. Now, I know you're familiar with these stats because he sent you an email where he lined it all out. I mean, we've got a copy of it right here. My question is, who did you fire for this? Who got fired because of that?
Senator, we study all of this because it's important and we want to improve our services.
Well, you just told me a second ago you studied it, that there was no linkage. Who did you fire?
I said you mischaracterized.
37% of teenage girls between 13 and 15 were exposed to unwanted nudity in a week on Instagram. You knew about it. Who did you fire?
Senator, this is why we're building all
Who
these
did you
different
fire?
tools. Senator, I don't think that's.
Who did you fire?
I'm not going to answer that.
Because you didn't fire anybody, right? You didn't take any significant action.
It's appropriate.
It's so funny that he's saying that because, like, they definitely fired motherfuckers, I'm sure. Come on, bro. They did like a massive layoff for Meta even. Like, it's so easy for him to say, like, yeah, we fired a shit ton of people. Who cares? Like, yeah, they fired the janitor probably. And then you can just like chalk that up as a W. But it is a ridiculous line of questioning because, like, yeah, there's massive layoffs happening everywhere in the tech sector. I'm not defending Mark Zuckerberg here, but I mean, I'm certainly not defending Josh Hawley either.
We have to talk about
it's not appropriate.
HR decisions.
Do you know who's sitting behind you? You've got families from across the nation whose children are either severely harmed or gone. And you don't think it's appropriate to talk about steps that you took? The fact that you didn't fire a single person? Let me ask you this. Have you compensated any of the victims?
Sorry?
Have you compensated any of the victims? These girls, have you compensated them?
I don't believe so.
Why not? Don't you think they deserve some compensation for what your platform has done? Help with counseling services? Help with dealing with the issues that your service has caused?
Our job is to make sure that we build tools to help keep people safe.
Are you going to compensate them?
Senator, our job.
God, I hate how fucking bad faith this line of questioning is, but he's kind of cooking them. God, I hate it. I hate it. It's a mid-off. Like, I despise Mark Zuckerberg for a million different reasons. I think Meta is awful. I think the algorithms are genuinely damaging. And then Josh Hawley is a demon as well. But now he's doing the Piers Morgan technique. Having a guy that is like, that everybody hates. Having a guy that everybody hates and cooking him so you look good in comparison. So people forget that you're Piers Morgan, right? It's like, that's what he's doing.
Job and what we take seriously is making sure that we build industry-leading tools to find harmful content,
make money,
take it off the services,
to make money,
and to build tools that empower parents.
So you didn't take.
By the way, yeah, you are completely correct. The people that are saying like, "Where's this energy for the gun manufacturers?" Great question. Imagine a world in which they do this to like every company. Which, by the way, it's valid to do this to social media too.
Take any action. You didn't take any action. You didn't fire anybody. You haven't compensated a single victim. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now?
Well,
they're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize?
Oh God, Josh Hawley bullied a billionaire Oh God, this is so good for him. I hate it. I hate that it's so good for him because he's such a piece of shit, so unserious, and does not care even remotely about the safety and security of these fucking families. Fuck.
Apologize for what you've done to these good people.
I'm sorry for everything that you've all been through. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered. And this is why we invested so much and are going to continue doing industry-leading efforts to make sure that no one has to go through the types of things that your families have had to suffer.
You know, why, Mr. Zuckerberg, why should your company not?
This feels like big government to me. I'm chilling with our government meddling in the business of these major corporations, but fuck, where's the consistency of the cognitive dissonance? Wait, what do you mean? The government always meddles in the business. It's just like it only meddles in business affairs in the direction of capital owners, and this won't be any different than that. Okay, I don't think that this will be like the government is constantly meddling in big business. Big government is always hand in hand. It's just that when they meddle in big business, they do it at the behest of the owners of the corporations, and not necessarily the workers, right? They very rarely also do it for the consumers. They almost always balance if there is a genuine issue. If there is a genuine issue, then that they balance that. Like consumers come second, capital owners number one, consumers second, last place is labor, obviously. So that's it. Why doesn't social media companies take the gun lobby lay and say it's the people doing it, not our products? They probably will. Or they probably would approach it in the same way, but I don't know. I mean, they kind of are. That's the whole reason for why we have safe harbor. But it's not as powerful as it's not as powerful as a like it's not no pun intended, but it's not the meta, right? Why isn't Twitter in this too? Twitter is in this. Linda
Be
Yaccarino
sued for this. Why is it that you can claim you hide behind a liability shield? You can't be held accountable. Shouldn't you be held accountable personally? Will you take personal responsibility?
Senator, I think I've already answered this. I mean, these.
Well, try this again. Will you take personal responsibility?
Senator, I view my job and the job of our company as building the best tools that we can to keep our community safe.
Well, you're failing at that.
Well, Senator, we're doing an industry-leading effort. We build AI tools
nonsense. Your product is killing people. Will you personally commit to compensating the victims? You're a billionaire. Will you commit to compensating the victims? Will you set up a compensation fund
Senator,
with your money?
I think these are
with your money.
Senator, these are complicated
issues. No, that's not a complicated question, though. That's Senator, a yes or no. Will you set up a victims compensation fund?
God, that's such a good fucking God. I wish God, I hate this. I hate this so much. I hate it because that's such a good bar. Okay. That is a great fucking line of questioning. He is holding his foot to the fire. He's holding him accountable. He's doing it in a very aesthetically pleasing manner, if that makes sense. And you hate to see it, I guess. You hate to freaking see it. I hate to freaking see it. Because it's being done by the worst piece of shit out there. And it's also never the same kind of energy that they have for example, the likes of, they don't have this kind of smoke for the gun lobby, the gun manufacturers. They don't have this kind of smoke for DuPont Chemical. You know what I mean? They don't have this kind of smoke for pharmaceutical corporations. So not to say that this is a bad line of questioning. I think this is good. It's okay though, because Cotton went full dumbass during his line of questioning. Yeah. It's like watching Goebbels hit a home run. Yes. The issue is this line of questioning is just, why did you beat your wife over and over again? Yeah, I know, but that's good. That reads well to the average human. What do you mean? Goebbels. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, this is like what they should be doing to every company. Even if they do not demand any kind of real restitution, or they can get like any kind of real restitution from any of these other companies, this kind of attack is still good. Populism 101, certainly, but this is what I demand from my Democratic congresspersons too.
With your money, the money you made on these families sitting behind you, yes or no?
Senator, I don't think that's my job is to
Sounds
make sure
like a
we
no.
build good tools. My
Sounds
job
like a
is
no.
to make sure that
Your job is to be responsible for what your company has done. You've made billions of dollars on the people sitting behind them. Are you here? You've done nothing to help them. You've done nothing to compensate them. You've done nothing to put it right. You could do so here today, and you should. You should, Mr. Zuckerberg. Before my time expires, Mr. Chu, let me just ask you, your platform, why should your platform not be banned in the United States of America? You are owned by a Chinese communist company, or a company based in China. The editor-in-chief of your parent company is a Communist Party secretary. Your company has been surveilling Americans for years. According to leaked audio from more than 80 internal TikTok meetings, China-based employees of your company have repeatedly accessed non-public data of United States citizens. Your company has tracked journalists improperly gaining access to their IP addresses, user data, in an attempt to identify whether they're writing negative stories about you. Why should your platform is basically an espionage arm for the Chinese Communist Party? Why should you not be banned in the United States of America?
Senator, I disagree with your characterization. Many of what you have said, we have explained in a lot of detail. TikTok is used by 170 million Americans.
I know, and every single one of those Americans are in danger from the fact that you track their keystrokes, you track their app usage, you track their location data.
Yeah, this part of the conversation is literally like, dog, you are currently yelling at a dude from Singapore, okay, for engaging in the exact same practices that every other corporation engages in, okay? The only difference is it's China that owns the company. That's it. Like, this is just a straight up bad because China moment. TikTok is bad. Okay, TikTok is bad. It breaks people's brains for sure. The hilarious part of this is that it's like the surveillance strategies that they're talking about and all this stuff is like commonplace, is common practice. I think that in this circumstance, like, regulation is a must, but I don't know what the best way to do it is. I don't know what the best strategy going forward should be. I don't know. It is funny though that it is funny thinking about like how much smoke they have for this when they could, like, the Chinese government could just like buy this information. Okay.
And we know that all of that information can be accessed by Chinese employees who are subject to the dictates of the Chinese Communist Party. Why should you not be banned in this country?
Senator, that is not accurate. A lot of what you describe we collect, we don't.
It is 100% accurate. Do you deny that repeatedly Americans' data has been accessed by ByteDance employees in China?
We built a project that cost us billions of dollars to stop that, and we have made a lot of progress.
And it hasn't been stopped, according to the Wall Street Journal report from just yesterday.
So you're okay with China trying to suppress our journalists? Wait, what? I never said that. What are you talking about? No, dude, I know everybody always goes like, dude, you love China. You love China. Like, I don't think TikTok is good. I'm quite literally mentioning that China and its impact, or TikTok's impact on the Western world, is damaging. Okay? It is. And not only that, but I'm saying internally in China, they have a TikTok equivalent, and it has a shit ton of safeguards in it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? There are better criticisms of and better regulations surrounding what to do. Simply wrong? What do you mean? Surrounding what we must do with TikTok and all other social media, including the surveillance stuff too, for sure. It's just laughable to think about like TikTok doing extra surveillance more than anyone else. And it's like going to Chinese people, and it's actually suppressing journalists or whatever. Like China is like controlling American journalists or suppressing their information is pretty funny, because that is no longer even the tip of the iceberg. You're now talking about some fucking insane shit. Okay?
Even now, ByteDance workers, without going through official channels, have access to the private information of American citizens. I'm quoting from the article, private information of American citizens, including their birth date, their IP address, and more. That's now.
Senator, as we know, the media doesn't always get it right. What we have.
But the Chinese Communist Party does.
That was a good. Okay, show, bro. Show did the damn thing. He went fake news. That's actually a good line, because it's like, it's one that works really well for the Republican audience. You know what I mean? To which his response again is like, well, what about the Chatcom?
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we've spent billions of dollars to build this project. It's rigorous, it's robust, it's unprecedented, and I'm proud of the work that the 2,000 employees are doing to protect the data.
But it's not protected. That's the problem, Mr. Chu. It's not protected at all. It's subject to Communist Chinese Party inspection and review. Your app, unlike anybody else sitting here and have
my eyes are rolling out of my head.
Everyone knows I've got
my
problems
eyeballs
with everybody
are rolled
here.
behind.
But your app, unlike any of those, is subject to the control and inspection of a.
I think the major thing with TikTok is that it's owned by China, and and because it's owned by China, they just hate that. They don't have like the same level of control and the same level of backdoor access to the same degree that they do to like every other American social media platform that our intelligence agencies are monitoring and utilizing at any given moment. Being owned by ByteDance also gives TikTok like additional bandwidth as far as like not being as malleable or as susceptible to like public pressure. Let's say in the same way that like Meta could be. There's a reason why TikTok is, first of all, the moderation on TikTok is, I think, a bunch of monkeys and levers. Okay. I'm almost certain like there is not a human that controls any part of that process. We've talked about this quite a bit. It's really awful. I get banned every week. It's like insane. I get unbanned. I ask for like a human to look at it. I get unbanned, and then I get banned again for the same fucking video. It's completely random. It makes no goddamn sense. It's really, really, really stupid. Interview a TikTok employee. There is none. This is the only TikTok employee, brother. Okay. I'm not even kidding. This is the guy. He's the one guy that is a human being that works at TikTok. Everyone else is like AI and like I said, monkeys with levers. Okay, pulleys, levers, a crank system, buttons that they're pressing. So, overall, I think he's the one unbanning me. Yeah, he unbans me because he's like, you're China's bravest warrior. But anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is, are you comfortable with Facebook and Google doing the same thing? No, that's what I'm trying to point to. My argument is, no, this regulation is not just for TikTok. It should be across the board, except there is no regulation. And the TikTok part of the conversation is simply to try and bully TikTok so they can sell it to an American company and continue the same process. That's it. That's my point. I'm not saying it's good that TikTok is surveilling people, okay? I have had a very consistent point on this from the jump. Okay? Here's how this works. These guys love hammering TikTok because they say, ooh, scary, China is doing the surveilling. Okay? Ooh, scary. If they were to come out with regulation that would impact all of the companies in the same exact way, that would be wonderful. But that's not the goal here. The goal isn't even to regulate TikTok. The goal is to sell off TikTok to an American company so that, you know, they can have an additional level of control and maybe even pressure. Okay? I mean, look, this is my theory. This is what I think. This is what I think they want. They don't like that there is like a company out there that's not as malleable and not as susceptible to like even pressures from the State Department, right? I don't know. I feel like there is an allowance that TikTok has as far as like even what kind of information is like readily accessible on there, that you certainly have way more rigorous checks and controls over when you compare it to, and I'm talking of course about Palestine, when you compare it to like Meta, right? Meta is like very openly suppressing pro-Palestinian content. Any mentions of Palestine whatsoever, you get clapped. And they're very unapologetic about it. Ironic considering that, you know, they basically were partially responsible, according to investigations, in the last time Muslims were being genocided en masse. And I'm, of course, referring to the Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar. And so, you know, they're obviously very one-sided when it comes to like Muslims being killed en masse, right? So it's just interesting to think about, and I think that is a couple of the reasons why I think they want to manage it. Yeah. By the same argument, Facebook, known for giving FBI, CIA anything they want, should be banned in every country except the U.S. It's essentially American spyware by the same characterization. God, American exceptionalism is such a fucking drug. Yeah. Except I do think that Meta and all these other companies are probably beholden to significantly higher standards as far as like control in Europe due to EU regulation. Does that make sense? Anyway, look, all of that shit is still. What? You are so uninformed. Too much pro-Palestinian content on TikTok. Yeah, no, there that is definitely a consideration in my opinion. I think that no. He's saying like this is the perspective of the senators. Guys, calm down. Everyone is so ready to go nutty mode. Okay, when you should be going nutty on that fucking subscription button because at the top of the hour there's a 3-minute ad break. Okay, and if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free. All right, get nutty with it. Subscribe for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account or by getting gifted a sub. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. Hey, Cap for Cutie, thank you for the 10 gifted. Winter Rose 96, thank you for the 5 gifted.
Foreign hostile government that has actively trying to track the information of whereabouts of every American.
Foreign hostile government, brother. Foreign hostile government. I got to pee again.
They get their hands on. Your app ought to be banned in the United States of America for the security of this country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Hirono.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we've heard, children face all sorts of dangers when they use social media, from mental health harm.
As we continue to listen to this hearing, we just have to say, wow, what we all just saw live on television is going to be a moment for the ages. When we just saw Senator Josh Hawley ask Mark Zuckerberg if he had apologized to the families, many of whom are there in the audience, an audience that the chair of this committee, Dick Durbin, said earlier was the biggest that he has seen in his 22 years on the Judiciary Committee. And then Mark Zuckerberg stood up, turned around, and spoke to the families. He was off mic, so we don't know exactly what he said. I know that we're trying to get some audible tape of exactly what he said, but that moment is something that I believe that we are going to be looking back on and talking about for quite some time.
Of what nation are you a citizen?
Singapore.
Woo! My boy's about to get real racist with it. Hold on now, partner. Before we move on back to goddamn Tom Cotton, okay, let me tell you a thing or two. Okay, so we're going to talk about Tom Cotton being insanely racist once again. He's like, Tom Cotton hit the, what kind of Asian are you? Wrong answer, it's Chinese. He literally did that, okay, which is so insane that this person is like in Congress, okay, in Congress. He said, I don't care what kind of Asian you are, you're literally Chinese. Not even are you Chinese or Japanese? He said, nope, you're Chinese. You're Chinese to me, brother. Fuck you. It's more like, what kind of Chinese are you? There's only four types of people, okay? Chinese, Mexican, Black, American. And when I say American, I'm talking about white people, okay? That's it. There ain't nothing else. And you don't look Mexican to me, so you must be Chinese. Arabs are Mexican. We categorize Arabs under the banner of Mexican, okay? And sometimes white, which is very scary. Very scary stuff. Some of them Arabs can hide as white people, okay? Anyway, here, let's look at the difference between TikTok and Douyin before we move on back to him being him being like, I don't care that you're from Singapore. What kind of Chinese are you?
Here are the key differences between our version of TikTok here in the US that we all know and the Chinese version called Douyin that you can only access in China. So if you're a child in China who wants to go on Douyin or TikTok, you can only go on the app for 40 minutes a day maximum. And that's not a setting that you can change, it's forced. And they'll only be shown videos about knowledge or science, math, patriotism. Any piece of content that is made in any other country cannot be shown on Douyin. So with all this different content comes different trending artists and trending songs. And it's really hard for an artist to blow up on TikTok and simultaneously Douyin. But this singer right here, Ari Abdul, may be the first artist to have a #1 song on Douyin and then TikTok. Her song, Baby Doll, that was the first song she ever wrote, has over 2 million plays on Douyin. And it's been the #1 song. The sound is being used for romantic videos, transitions, fan edits. So it'll be very interesting to see just how much Baby Doll can take off on worldwide TikTok after its major.
We have a unique circumstance here. Is she Chinese or Mexican? I'm confused. I don't know how to be racist towards her. She's on the Chinese app. But she got a last name Abdul, which, as I said earlier, is Arab, which I said earlier, it means she's Mexican. I don't get it. Abdul. Them Chinese are bringing in Hamas over the border with their music like Abdul.
Major success on Douyin.
I'm confused. Dog, I got the window open. Everyone thinks I'm racist now. Yeah, God. This is why, Republicans have so much more fun, okay? Because they're so dumb. They live in, like, the dumbest timeline. And they are so stupid and so silly. And they have so much fun. They would have more fun if they weren't terrified all the time, I guess. It's just the one thing that stops them from actually having fun is just how scared they are all the time. Her father is Palestinian. We knew it. I told you. Abdul.
I think they then had a lawsuit and it was overturned. I can't remember the details. It's another company.
The Biden administration that reversed those sanctions, just like, by the way, they reversed the terrorist designation on the Houthis in Yemen. How's that working out for them? But it was sanctioned as a Chinese communist military company. So you said today, as you often say, that you live in Singapore. Of what nation are you a citizen?
Singapore.
Are you a citizen of any other nation?
No, Senator.
Have you ever applied for Chinese citizenship?
Senator, I served my nation in Singapore. No, I did not.
Do you have a Singaporean passport?
Yes, and I served my military for two and a half years in Singapore.
Do you have any other passports from any other nations?
No, Senator.
He's like, what do you mean? You look Chinese to me. What the fuck do you mean? What is Singapore? What the hell kind of Chinese is that? You look Chinese. You sound Chinese. Your name Chinese. Is Singapore in China? What part of China is Singapore from? Tell me now. Why are you hiding the truth about Singapore? He's literally like, I don't believe you. You're Chinese. What the fuck? It's so stupid. It's so dumb. What are you doing? You look Chinese to me. You can't fool me. Can't catch a fast one off. Can't let this one slip, boys. We got them.
Your wife is an American citizen. Your children are American citizens.
That's correct.
Have you ever applied for American citizenship?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you, you won't be getting it because you're Chinese.
Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, I'm Singaporean. No.
Have you ever been associated or affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party?
Why would he? How? What are you saying? It's a brick wall, dude. Nothing. He's not registering anything. Okay. It's like the old King of the Hill bit with like the Laotian neighbors moving next door, but like so much more racist. Okay. Yeah. It's like.
So are you Chinese or Japanese?
I live in California last 20 years, but first come from Laos.
Huh?
Laos. We Laotian.
The ocean? What ocean?
We are Laotian. From Laos, stupid. It's a landlocked country in Southeast Asia. It's between Vietnam and Thailand, okay? Population 4.7 million.
So are you Chinese or Japanese?
Now, that's funny and cute. Tom Cotton, on the other hand, is extra racist. Okay? He's extra racist. He even shaved off the Japanese part. He's like, Japanese, they're also Chinese. All right? They're our allies, but they're Chinese still. Okay? They're...
Party?
No, Senator. Again, okay. I'm Singaporean.
Let me ask you some hopefully simple questions. You said earlier, in response to a question, that what happened at Tiananmen Square in June of 1989 was a massive protest. Did anything else happen in Tiananmen Square?
He's so Reddit. He's like, yeah, I got you. Yeah. Guess what? This is how we found out you're Chinese right here. Oh, dude, this is so sick. Yeah. There are island Chinese allies like Taiwan, also Chinese. Well, they're literally okay. That one does make sense. Taiwan and Nippon Desu, both Chinese of island variety, both are friends and allies. Okay. Still don't trust them though, because they're still Chinese.
Yes, I think it's well documented. There was a massacre.
There was an indiscriminate slaughter of hundreds or thousands of Chinese citizens. Do you agree with the...
Tell me more. How many? How many did you kill at the Tiananmen Square? How many Chinese people did you kill personally? You were on that tank, weren't you? Tell me now. You marched that tank, didn't you? It's well documented. You personally did it.
The Trump administration and the Biden administration that the Chinese government is committing genocide against the Uyghur people.
Senator, I've said this before. I think it's really important that anyone who cares about this topic or any topic can freely express themselves on TikTok.
It's a very simple question that unites both parties in our country and government.
Yeah. Alarm bells in everybody's heads, by the way, should be ringing at this point. Okay. Yeah. He said he did military service for 2 years. Part of the, yeah, military service for what? Singapore mandatory service? More like Singapore part of China. That's right. Tom Cotton talking about Muslims is so funny because it's like, we know his ass don't give a shit.
Around the world is the Chinese government committing genocide against the Uyghur people.
Senator, anyone, including, you can come into TikTok and talk about this topic.
I'm asking you,
or any topic that
you are a
matters to you.
worldly, cosmopolitan, well-educated man who's expressed many opinions on many topics. Is the Chinese government committing genocide against?
Oh, finish your alarm bell point. Yeah, I mean, dude, it should ring alarm bells in your head when like someone like Tom Cotton's talking about like genocide, currently ongoing genocide against like a Muslim population, and he's not talking about Palestine. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's just a talking point. That's it. Okay, it's just a talking point.
Well-educated man who's expressed many opinions on many topics. Is the Chinese government committing genocide against the Uyghur people?
Actually, Senator, I talk mainly about my company, and I'm here to talk about what TikTok does.
Yes or no? You're here to give testimony that's truthful and honest and complete.
Is this old? Didn't they already do this? No. Tom Cotton had done this to him before, but he's doing it again.
Let me ask you this. Joe Biden last year said that Xi Jinping was a dictator. Do you agree with Joe Biden that Xi Jinping a dictator?
Senator, I'm not going to comment on any world leaders.
What?
He's obviously a communist because he's from Singapore and not Sing-a-rich. True, brother. It's one of my favorite types of racism. It's like, oh, it's time to answer for the crimes of like what I associate China with. You look Chinese enough. Come on, go ahead. You know what I mean? It's just like, guys, pure unadulterated racism. Okay, you are there specifically as the CEO of TikTok. It would be like if you were talking to Mark Zuckerberg about like made up shit that you came up with, like Jewish crimes or something, because, well, you're Jewish. Tell me about Jewish crimes. Did you build the Chabad tunnels in Brooklyn? Tell me now. Okay, it's just so dumb. It's so insanely stupid. It's like, yeah, tell me about them Jewish space lasers, Mark Zuckerberg. That's right. Like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? It's like if people ask you to condemn the Armenian genocide, but if you're Greek instead, yeah, it's like, well, you're Turkish enough. And for the record, I do get this all the time, so I am very experienced about this all the time. But it's just like it's a way to just like stop the conversation dead in its tracks and take it into a direction that is like entirely irrelevant. Now, I know people will jump on this and turn around and say things along the lines of like, well, technically this is about like Chinese surveillance. No, it's not. It's about children and protecting children. Okay. And secondly, in that line of questioning, you could give all the smoke to TikTok. You could be like, why is the Chinese equivalent Douyin significantly more regulated as far as what it shows children? That's a question that actually is relevant. Okay? Like, that makes sense. It's right. It is directly involved with the actual mechanisms of control with an equivalent product in China. Like, it makes no sense. Yeah, but Shu would just flip that on Western regulations or whatever. No, I know. But the point is, in that line of questioning, the point is that they should do more respect all racism with communist Chinese, not Taiwanese. You're communist equals Nazis. Communist equals Nazis. Both dogs. Support NATO. Hasan, not Turkish, bro. Stop talk like that. No communism, no Nazism. Okay, got it. So it's all an optics conversation, and even the optics on that front for Tom Cotton are not exactly good. Okay? Because the optics in that conversation are not exactly good because it's just him being racist. Like, he's not even doing a decent enough job with the optics side. Josh Hawley, on the other hand, did a decent enough job with the optics side. Yugopnik Twitch, thank you for the raid. Hope you had a good stream, brother. The Balkan people are taking over this platform. Anyway, and then he went on to Fox News to talk about his big dub over the Chinese man that he destroyed.
Heads of all of these technology companies, including Mark Zuckerberg, some very powerful moments from all of this. This is an exchange that you had with the CEO of TikTok a short time ago. Let's play this.
Have you ever?
At least you're Turkish, so it makes a bit of sense in terms of racist logic. Asking a Singaporean guy to comment on China makes as much sense as asking an Italian about the Armenian genocide. Yeah, it's like it's just so stupid. There is no reason to talk about any of those things at this hearing. Okay? To be fair, if I was going to make a racist sounding guy, I'd name him Tom Cotton. True.
Ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, I'm Singaporean. No.
Have you ever been associated or affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party?
No, Senator. Again, I'm Singaporean.
What were you getting at there? It's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, it's like when people come up to me and they're like, "You must love Saddam Hussein." It's like, what? Wait, no. That's right. You love Saddam Hussein. Your name is Hasan, which is 1 degree removed from Hussein to begin with. Okay, tell me now. How long did you serve the Ba'athist Party? How long? Why did you not talk about your affiliation with the Ba'athist Party?
Singapore is obviously self-governed, has been since 1959. Do you have some kind of information on this TikTok?
Oh my God, even the Fox News anchor is like, what are you doing?
CEO that we should be aware of?
Well, first off, he acknowledged that TikTok is under the control of a company that has its own internal Chinese Communist Party committee. He himself worked for a company before he went to TikTok and ByteDance that was sanctioned by the United States government as a Chinese communist-controlled military company. TikTok and its parent ByteDance answers to China. And of course, you can be affiliated with or associated with the Chinese Communist Party anywhere in the world. The Biden administration has many cases against...
Dude, at this point, like, most of the video game industry, okay, is also in the exact same vein owned by the Chinese, okay? Not to, like, give these guys any additional ideas, but, like, Tencent has a shit ton of ownership over a lot of the video game developers, publishers that we enjoy the product of, okay? Like, but I mean, obviously a lot of those guys are white, you know, like the guys on the American side are white, so it doesn't have that same smoke talking to a dude from fucking Iowa or whatever and being like, what kind of Chinese are you, boy? Is not going to work when the dude that you're talking to is like literally white. But the only reason why it hits here is because he's Asian. He's from Singapore, and Americans are stupid as fuck and incredibly racist. So they go, oh, he's really cooking him here, okay? The fuck do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? It's like fucking talking to Kotick, okay? Or not Activision Blizzard. I guess, is Activision Blizzard also owned by Tencent? But it's like looking at the Riot CEO and being like, all right, how long have you served Mao Zedong? That's right. How long have you served in the Maoist army? The Maoist guerrilla force. Activision is Microsoft. No, that's why I said Riot. Riot owned by Tencent. You know what I mean? It's like asking a Mexican about Canadian war crimes. Yeah, it's just so fucking stupid. Oh, yeah. All right.
American citizens who have been collaborating with and working on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party. Singapore, unfortunately, is one of the places in the world that has the highest degree of infiltration and influence by the Chinese Communist Party. So Mr. Chu has a lot to answer for what his app is doing in America and why it's doing it.
So you feel that you were justified in the line of questioning, and I'll just ask you again.
This is so funny. It's always the same. It's always the same line of it's the same logical leap every time. It's always the same post hoc rationalization for why he was being racist. Okay? Yeah, that's right. It's because he looks Chinese. He's working for a Chinese app, which is why it's perfectly in line with this line of questioning. It's like, what are you saying? You shouldn't even do this if he was Chinese, for the record. Like, what are we talking about? The idea that every single Chinese American, okay, or even like a regular old Chinese guy who's not even an American citizen yet, but has an American wife and American children, is like secretly an agent of China, is an insane approach. You cannot do that. That is an insane thing to do. It's literally, last time we did this, we put Japanese people in concentration camps in this fucking country. What the fuck are you doing? And it feels like I'm losing my mind because like everyone is so anti-China that this is like perfectly valid, right? At least to a varying degree. People will rush to make these judgments. And we'll go, I don't really like Tom Cotton, but like he's kind of spitting here. Like liberals do similar things like this. It's crazy. I don't know, man. It's just, I feel like I'm losing it a little bit. I mean, those same people think you're a Muslim extremist infiltrator. So I know, which is of course gross. He's actually ethnically Chinese living in Singapore, which is a big demographic there. Brother, he is a Singaporean citizen who served in the Singapore military. Okay? You are out of your mind. It's like saying I'm secretly like an agent of Turkey, even though I was fucking born here and I've been living here for 10 plus years, more than 10 years now. And I'm an American through and through to my fucking bones. Okay? And the irony is that people do say that towards me all the fucking time. And that's why I'm trying to communicate that it's a fucking ridiculous thing to say. That's not an own. And you can't try to fucking massage that into some rational framework when it's just a pure racist fucking take. Oh, anyway, that asks why do politicians think everything is an infiltration? Because they're brain broken and very stupid. It's like a dumb guy. It's a dumb guy's way of thinking.
Again, do you have any evidence that he's a member of the CCP?
No, Martha, what I have is his record of working at companies that have been sanctioned because they are associated with and directed by the Chinese Communist Party, or working at a company that has internal Chinese Communist Party committees. It's entirely reasonable.
Dog, what are you saying? What are you saying? This applies to every company that is at least partially or fully owned by a Chinese company, and there are so many of them. We have perfectly normal trade relations with China. It's so weird, dude. It is so strange to me because on the one hand, like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, this is a part of our regular order of business, okay? China is a massive manufacturing hub. They also are obviously now in the game of purchasing American companies and vice versa. Well, most of the time it's just American companies that they're purchasing. Americans are not purchasing Chinese companies. But like the notion that it is so unique and so scary that like these scary Chinese people, okay, scary Chinese people are coming to infiltrate America is just built around pure racism and xenophobia. It's just like there are so many companies you would brick if we disrupted our trade relation with China beyond like what Trump tried to do with tariffs and whatnot. Okay, if we legitimately divested from China, it would destroy global trade. We would have like Argentina times 10 inflation in this country. It's so stupid. So like the xenophobia is one thing, but it's based on top of like a normal trade relation that already exists. It's like trying to be xenophobic when there's a shit ton of Chinese Americans, like, and a shit ton of Americans that also go to China and work there. You know what I mean? There's like so much cross-pollination, and yet you have like both the liberal politicians and the conservative politicians in the Republican Party operating like this is not the reality. Like there's no, like China is somehow still like North Korea or something. Okay? That it's like this, hermit kingdom, super afar, out of touch. We can't talk about them, or we don't look into it. It is so stupid. If you showed Tom Cotton Xiaoma, his face would melt. The xenophobia in the West is extremely real in the way that media discusses China fans. The flames of racial hatred. Look on YouTube or Reddit. Any video posted about China, the comments are all about how everything is fake and evil. How Chinese people have no morals or agency of their own. Even before COVID, when I was living in the UK, the questions people asked me about China were themselves so humanizing. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good at all. I don't understand how trade between two countries stopping would destroy global trade. Trade between the United States would collapse if we did not have if we did not use the manufacturing hub of China. And if the United States collapses, we are the largest purchasing engine of the entire planet. We would collapse the global economy. What is this? It's coping by Western whites that we are losing our relative domination of the world because China is actually making the investments both domestically and internationally that the world is desperate for. China's massive desert project is about to change the world.
Biggest solar plant in the United States, located in Kern, California.
But did America collapse from COVID since that stopped a lot of trade with China? No. And part of the reason why the entire global trade didn't fucking global trade didn't collapse is because we pumped literally every orifice with money so we could still continue buying shit. Everything is interconnected and reliant on everything else, while it's further tightened by the profit motive, sucking any slack out of the system. Yeah. Our logistics are super fragile because it's just-in-time manufacturing. Everything is squeezed out for the profit motive, so there's not a lot of redundancy there, which is why I think that like a lot of this relationship, like the idea that like we completely shut off from Chinese manufacturing during COVID is just completely not true. Okay. Like we would the relations continued and trade continued. America is the only infinite money printing country. This is true. America is the only country that could infinitely print money. But what you said earlier is not true. what you said earlier is not true. The idea that like we didn't fucking work with China or something, like we didn't have any trade with China during COVID. Anyway. Just got offered a Teamsters dairy job I've been trying to get for a while. Thanks for motivating me to join a union, Hasan. Hell yeah, brother. Congratulations. Or sister. Or MB. What? By the way, do you know of the viral BJ video on TikTok crying? Shit's crazy on there. What? Yeah, by the way, trade didn't completely shut down with China. It's slowed down, and we still saw a massive effect that we almost finally are done with inflation included. Yeah. America would be 100% reliant on wind and solar if you weren't slaves to oil barons. Yeah. Look, let's be real. America being 100% reliant on wind and solar seems like a great idea. I love that, except, you know, there is no real transition that we're anywhere near at this point. Specifically, not even because of like the availability or whatever, but also because of like battery power. No, it's not just profits. No, we're technology is not completely there yet either. Even though quietly many places are using wind and solar energy, wind and solar energy as like as a how would I describe this? Like California, for example, does this shit too. Where like we definitely are already like implementing solar and wind as a stopgap measure, but like supplemental. But it's not the sole energy that we use at this point. Yes, supplemental is the right word for it. And a lot of places are doing that, and it's great. But we definitely do need to, we still need, I think, technological improvements on that front. Not true. Fango Lives, unless I don't think we can. I don't think we can fully have a sustainable 100% renewable energy grid at the stage that we're at currently. But that shouldn't stop us from moving towards that. I'm just saying that it won't happen overnight. Like, and there are still, as far as I understand, limitations to it. Germany electricity ran 50% wind last year. Sorry, but saying impossible is wrong. It might be inefficient to get 100% from renewable right now, but we can figure it out along the way. As far as I understand, with solar, the biggest hurdle we have yet to overcome at this point is storage. That's what I know, and maybe there is an update to that I'm unfamiliar with, but this is what I have. This is what I have seen. China is about to install so much solar and wind that they will be able to produce as much energy as the U.S. needs in a year. That's why the videos about China is literally doing it. They are also buying supergrid with HVDC lines. Only one other country even has one line. They have 25. The issue is storage for days when there isn't strong enough sunlight. Once we get enough storage for less energy producing days, we are set. Anyway. There are a lot of measure factors for providing enough power for a network grid. With current tech, we cannot solve a lot of efficiency and reliability problems for renewable sources. This does not mean that we can't do it and we mustn't do it at all, for the record. I'm not like I mean, you guys know that I am very much pro renewable energy. I'm 100% on board. I think it's great. It's awesome. And it's a must. It's a necessity for two reasons. One, oil is obviously finite. There is a shelf life to that entire process. But also beyond that,
People are
beyond that, it's destroying the environment, obviously. The community noted your Pelosi tweet. Yeah, I saw. I don't care, dude. All the community notes are literally fucking CIA shit. Oh, it went away. I don't know why. It's so funny because accusing your political opponents of being Chi-Com agents is Alex Jones's thing, and then they're like, no, but they are Chi-Com agents. Oh, okay, got it. Thank you. Like, community note literally is like, no, you don't understand. They are Chi-Com agents, actually. Why are they Chi-Com agents? Because they amplify the Chinese government. Okay? Code Pink is funded by organizations and individuals with significant ties to the Chinese government. Okay? Code Pink regularly amplifies Chinese government narratives, push Uyghur genocide. Denial. Pelosi's directing her comments at members of Code Pink. Yeah, this lady that she's yelling at is not Chinese. I mentioned that. The lady that she's yelling at is actually a Jewish teacher in San Francisco. But it's awesome. I love when people I love when community notes are literally like I love when community notes are just like, no, you don't understand. Like, what Nancy Pelosi's doing, you're considering to be like ridiculous, okay? And maybe even racist, and you're comparing it to what Alex Jones does all the time. But it's kind of true. Yeah, we're gonna watch the PlayStation event when it comes out in 20 minutes. Don't worry. Trees are really efficient at storing energy in the sun. We should burn them for energy. It's renewable. I got it. I think it's a good thing that China at least invests heavily in renewables. Still a lot of coal. When my country in Norway wants to exploit oil even more. The notes people add to your tweets are wild. Yeah. It literally will be like, I just don't like this guy. Community note upvoted 100 times. Fuck this guy.
I want to turn to you.
Dude, everyone is like, what happened in Tiananmen Square?
Are you familiar with China's 2017 National Intelligence Law, which states, quote, all organizations and citizens shall support, assist, and cooperate with national intelligence efforts in accordance with the law and shall protect national intelligence work secrets they are aware of?
Yes, I'm familiar with this.
TikTok is owned by ByteDance. Is ByteDance subject to the law?
I mean, dude, honestly, this kind of shit is so wild because, like, I get hit with this. And I'm not, like, I'm not Asian, you know what I mean? I'm the type of Asian that's white and not fucking the type of Asian that you think of when you think of Asian people, right? So even then, it's like, yeah, I'm West Asian. I'm Caucasian, right? So it has nothing to do with, like, me looking Asian in the way that you understand it. I'm not talking about, like, Pakistani people or Afghan people. I'm talking, like, straight up. In America, when you say Asian, you're thinking of East Asian, okay? And even then, people are like, I bet you have no answer for the Tiananmen Square massacre, silly libtard. Yeah, I fucking got you. And it's like, people literally will say this, even if you are remotely, even if they cast you as like remotely pro-China, because you are, I don't know, cutting through some of the noise when it comes to all of the insanity surrounding China. Like when I talk about even development in China or Chinese prosperity initiatives or whatever, they're like, oh, dude, you're dick riding CCP. You're dick riding CCP, and you're fucking, you love everything China does. You're fucking China simp. You're a China simp. You're 100% a China simp. And it's like, no, I'm just being objective and reasonable in my analysis. Okay? And it's fucking ridiculous. It's just, so many people have this like very weird anti-intellectual, anti-curiosity approach to countries that we have declared our foreign adversaries, where it's like, they're doing all the wrong things. We're doing some of the wrong things, but we all ultimately are doing it in the right way. right?
For the Chinese businesses that ByteDance owns, yes, it will be subject to this, but TikTok is not available in mainland China. And Senator, as we talked about in your office, we built Project Texas to put this out of reach.
So ByteDance is subject to the law. Now, under this law, which says shall protect national intelligence work secrets they are aware of, it compels people subject to the law to lie to protect those secrets. Is that correct?
I cannot comment on that. What I said again is that we have
because you have to protect those secrets.
No, Senator, TikTok is not available in mainland China. We have moved the data into an American cloud infrastructure.
TikTok is controlled by ByteDance, which is subject to this law. Now, you said earlier, and I wrote this down, we have not been asked.
By the way, this is FISA court. Like, this is the same principle, I think, behind like the NSA having backdoor access, which for the record is not good. It's just like unimaginable for this to be anything but in China. The major difference, however, is that we do it in America and we say, these are the people who think that that's good when America does it. I think it's bad across the board. I can't speak for Chinese nationals beyond saying that I don't think it's a good thing to have this level of surveillance inflicted upon a population, because that is my analysis in the Western world. Jesus Christ, didn't they move the servers to the US? They did. They hired Oracle. I think their servers are in Texas or some shit now, but it doesn't matter. They're like, but you're still looking Chinese to me, boy.
For any data by the Chinese government, and we have never provided it. I'm going to tell you, and I told this when you and I met last week in my office, I do not believe you. And I'll tell you, the American people don't either. If you look at what is on TikTok in China, you are promoting to kids science and math videos, educational videos, and you limit the amount of time kids can be on TikTok. In the United States, you are promoting to kids self-harm videos.
He's doing it. He's stealing my takes. I hate it. Oh, God, I hate that it's Ted Cruz saying it.
And anti-Israel.
Okay. And anti-Israel.
Israel propaganda. Why is there such a dramatic difference?
Senator, that is just not accurate. There's
not a difference between what kids see in China and what kids see here?
Senator, TikTok is not available in China. It's a separate experience there. What I'm saying is...
But you have a company that is essentially the same, except it promotes beneficial materials instead of harmful materials.
That is not true. We have a lot of science and math content here on TikTok. There's so much of it.
All right,
created a stamp feed for
okay, let me point to this, Mr. Chu. There was a report recently that compared hashtags on Instagram to hashtags on TikTok, and what trended, and the differences were striking. So, for something like hashtag Taylor Swift or hashtag Trump, researchers found roughly 2 Instagram posts for every one on TikTok. That's not a dramatic difference. That difference jumps to 8 to 1 for the hashtag Uyghur. And it jumps to 30 to 1 for the hashtag Tibet. And it jumps to 57 to 1 to the hashtag Tiananmen Square. And it jumps to 100 and...
It's just like, I wonder why. No, he did say TikTok. I wonder why. Is it because of Chinese suppression? Or is it because, like, one is infinitely more relevant right now? Like, I don't understand it. It's just like who the fuck is hashtagging Tiananmen Square? Yeah, there's not enough Redditors out there. You know what I mean? Why are they not tic-tacking about the Tiananmen Square massacre? Why are these children talking about Taylor Swift? Huh? Is Taylor Swift a Chinese agent? Answer me now. You yourself are Chinese. Answer my question.
174-1 for the hashtag Hong Kong protest. Why is it that on Instagram, people can put up a hashtag Hong Kong protest 174 times compared to TikTok? What censorship is TikTok doing at the request of the Chinese government?
None. Senator,
this is so fucking stupid, dude. He's saying that was the difference between Instagram and TikTok for current searches. Yeah, that's the user base, brother. What do you mean? Yeah, TikTok is a much younger demographic. They probably don't give a shit about Hong Kong protests, okay? They probably don't give a shit about Tiananmen Square, definitely. Okay, Instagram is much older. That's it. That's literally it. Why the fuck? Why does Pornhub have more hashtags for anal? Yeah. Most companies ban people in NA if they mention the Hong Kong protests like Blizzard did. I think there was also that level of like involvement too, which is ironic because like they're not giving the smoke to anybody else except for TikTok. But like, I think that if this was the case, like Philip DeFranco would not have a platform on TikTok. Okay. Like he is one of the most prolific TikTok news broadcasters. And like, he is all over Hong Kong and all the things that Ted Cruz mentioned. If TikTok was legitimately interested, if the Chinese government was legitimately interested in like suppressing that kind of commentary, they would literally clap him. They would not allow him to have a TikTok channel. Okay? Philip DeFranco's commentaries on YouTube is very, very different than the stuff that he posts on TikTok. He is very, very dominant on TikTok. And a lot of the content that he puts on TikTok is like, you know, talking about Ukraine, a lot of like war coverage and you know, oftentimes like definitely, I would go so far as to say like coverage that the Chinese government would not be fond of, right? Whereas I myself have been called a Chinese agent a million times over, and I get fucking banned all the time. I get banned nonstop. So how does this work? How does that work? I'm a Chi-Com agent. I'm getting banned non-fucking stop.
Explain that differential.
The analysis is flawed. It's been debunked by other external sources like the Cato Institute. Fundamentally, a few things happen here. Not all videos carry hashtags. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you cannot selectively choose a few words within a certain time
Why the
period.
difference between Taylor Swift and Tiananmen Square? What happened in Tiananmen Square?
Senator, there was a massive protest during that time. But what I'm trying to say is our users can freely come and post this
Why
content.
would there be no difference on Taylor Swift or a minimal difference and a massive difference on Tiananmen Square or Hong Kong?
Senator, could you wrap up, please?
Senator, our algorithm does not suppress any content simply based on
You
this.
answer that question. Why is there a difference?
Like I said, I think this analysis is flawed. You're
Yeah, it's because one, you're looking at hashtags, which is not a great way to analyze like what kind of content is popping off. And two, it's because everybody gives a shit about Taylor Swift. Old people care about Taylor Swift. Young people care about Taylor Swift. But young people don't give a fuck about Tiananmen Square, dumbass. You're comparing it to Meta. Facebook's entire fucking user base is like 65 plus. Those are the motherfuckers who were alive when it happened. Okay? Does Ted Cruz not realize there may just be more people that are posting about Taylor Swift as opposed to an incident that occurred 35 years ago? No, he's comparing it to Meta versus TikTok. He's saying that there are way more hashtags on Meta about Tiananmen Square.
Social media is a very powerful tool, but we're here because every parent I know, and I think every parent in America, is terrified about the garbage that is directed at our kids. I have 2 teenagers at home, and the phones they have are portals to predators, to viciousness, to bullying, to self-harm.
I think another part of this is like really funny is that like they'll be like, whoa, you're suppressing Tiananmen Square massacre footage, right? Like they'll say some shit like that and then simultaneously turn around and be like, you all posted the George Floyd riots and said that they were good, and you made the black folk riot with your social media. You need to suppress this kind of messaging. You need to take off CRT nonsense. It's just like, what is it, dude? Are you jealous that the Chinese government has a fucking stranglehold on information and restricting access to information? Because it feels like you're upset that you can't do it.
And each of your companies could do a lot more to prevent it. Mr. Zuckerberg, in June of 2023, the Wall Street Journal reported that Instagram's recommendation systems were...
Instagram is full blocking Palestinian posts and they won't talk about that? Yeah, because they like that. That's kind of part of the reason why they don't like TikTok. Because on TikTok, there's a 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour. Just kidding. That's on Twitch. Unless you're subscribed. For $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. By connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get 1 free Prime subscription a month. Or maybe you got a Chi-Com agent in the chat that gifted you a sub to the HasanAbi broadcast. Who, of course, is serving you them Chinese ads. A lot of my revenue. There it is. The Chi-Com agent himself, King Henry IV, with the 50 big ones. That's right. We serve our CCP masters here at the HasanAbi broadcast. Here's the 3-minute ad break now, folks.
Actively connecting pedophiles to accounts that were advertising the sale of child sexual abuse material. In many cases, those...
Bro, if we're talking about CSAM, okay, you better have that smoke for that right-wing guy, Dom Lucre or whatever, who literally posted a watermark image of the most famous child sexual abuse material on the fucking planet. Okay? I don't want to hear nothing from this man if it ain't about that.
Accounts appear to be run by underage children themselves, often using code words and emojis to advertise illicit material. In other cases, the accounts included indicia that the victim was being sex trafficked. Now, I know that Instagram has a team that works to prevent the abuse and exploitation of children online. But what was particularly concerning about the Wall Street Journal expose was the degree to which Instagram's own algorithm was promoting the discoverability of victims for pedophiles seeking child abuse material. In other words, this material wasn't just living on the dark corners of Instagram. Instagram was helping pedophiles find it by promoting graphic hashtags, including hashtag pedwhore and hashtag preteen sex to potential buyers.
Christ, dude. It's fucking gross. Is he thanking him for this? Yeah, he's like, why wasn't I made aware of this earlier? I would have liked to have browsed it before it got banned, sir. Bro, give a trigger warning for Ted Cruz. Yeah, God. Will you be watching the PlayStation State of Play? Yes, I will. I said I will. I said I'm doing it. I'm doing the dang thing, brother. I'm doing it. PlayStation State of Play. I'll be watching it.